I wasn't supposed to be alone that weekend. My parents had been planning a last-minute trip to visit my aunt 3 hours away. And originally, I was going with them. But I had a statistics midterm that Monday, and I'd convinced them I'd be more productive if I stayed behind. I was 20 at the time, home from college for spring break, and eager to prove I could handle being on my own. We've lived in the same house for 15 years. It's an ordinary 2-story place in a quiet suburban neighborhood. Thin walls, creaky stairs, the kind of house where you can hear the dishwasher hum from your bedroom. Nothing dramatic, no dark history, no strange neighbors. Just a cul-de-sac, trimmed lawns, and porch lights that switch on automatically at dusk. When my parents left Saturday morning, my mom did her usual checklist. Doors locked, alarm set at night, don't ignore calls. I know, I said, half laughing. My dad clapped my shoulder. You'll be fine. And I was fine. At first, Saturday felt almost peaceful. I studied in the kitchen, music playing softly from my phone. I ordered takeout. I FaceTimed my girlfriend. The house felt bigger than usual, sure, but not in a scary way, more in a liberating way. I could walk around in socks, leave lights on, exist without worrying about anyone else's schedule. The first thing that unsettled me happened around 9:30 p.m. I was upstairs in my bedroom when I heard the front door close. Not slam, not creak, close. It was a soft, distinct click, the exact sound it makes when it shuts fully against the frame. I froze mid-scroll on my phone. I told myself it was the TV downstairs, or the house settling. Old houses make noises when the temperature drops. I'd heard that explanation my whole life. Still, I waited. Silence. I got up and stepped into the hallway. The air felt cooler out there. The stairs creaked under my weight as I descended. Every sound amplified in the quiet house. The front door was closed, locked, deadbolt engaged. I tested it twice just to be sure. Everything looked normal. The living room lamp glowed in the corner. The kitchen light was still on, nothing out of place. I stood there for a while, listening, nothing. I went back upstairs feeling faintly embarrassed. Alone in a house long enough and your brain starts inventing things. But that night, lying in bed, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd heard something real. Around 1:15 a.m. I woke up. Not groggy, not disoriented, fully awake. It took me a second to understand why. There was a sound, very faint, a slow, deliberate creaking. Not random house settling. This was rhythmic. Step, pause, step. It was coming from downstairs. My bedroom door was open. From my bed, I could see into the dark hallway and the top of the staircase. I held my breath. Another creak. I told myself it was the air kicking on or wood expanding. But the pauses between sounds were wrong. They felt intentional. I reached for my phone, careful not to let the mattress springs squeak. 2:18 a.m. I turned off my screen immediately, afraid the glow would give me away, though I didn't even know from what. Then I heard it. A whisper of movement at the base of the stairs, like fabric brushing against the wall. My mouth went dry. Every rational thought lined up in my head. The alarm would have gone off. The doors were locked. No one was inside. But I hadn't set the alarm. I'd told myself I would before bed. I hadn't. My chest tightened. There was a long stretch of silence, and then a footstep on the first stair. It was unmistakable. The specific groan that third stair makes when weight presses near the edge. I know that sound. I've lived with it for years. Someone was on the staircase. I slid out of bed as quietly as I could and eased my bedroom door shut. The latch clicked softly and I winced. The staircase creaked again. Higher this time. I didn't have a weapon. I didn't have a plan. I just stood there in the dark, heart hammering so loudly I was sure it was audible. The hallway floorboard outside my room groaned. Whoever it was had reached the top. I stared at my door. There was no knob movement, no shadow under the crack, just silence. Then slowly, deliberately, my doorknob turned, not rattling, not testing, turning. I watched the metal shift downward. I couldn't breathe. The door didn't open. I had locked it earlier out of habit, a small thing I'd done without thinking. The knob stopped, stayed there for a few seconds, then returned to its normal position. Footsteps retreated down the hallway, unhurried, calm. Back toward the stairs. I stood frozen, unable to move until I heard the faint creak of the staircase again. Then nothing. No door opening. No running. No sound of someone leaving. Just silence. After what felt like 20 minutes, but was probably 2, I grabbed my phone and called 911. I whispered. I didn't know why. I just did. Police arrived within 10 minutes. I heard them announce themselves. Heard boots on the stairs. Heard doors opening, closets checked, lights flipping on. They found nothing. No forced entry, no open windows, no sign anyone had been inside. Probably stress, one of the officers suggested gently. Old houses can play tricks on you. I didn't argue, but I knew what I heard. The next morning, after barely sleeping, I went downstairs to make coffee. That's when I noticed the chain lock on the front door. It was hanging loose. We never use the chain. It stays latched into its bracket so it doesn't swing. It was unhooked, not broken. Unhooked. I stood there staring at it, trying to convince myself maybe I'd brushed against it earlier. Maybe it had slipped somehow. But then I saw something else. The rug by the door was slightly bunched up, as if someone had wiped their shoes. I checked the security camera app on my phone, the small doorbell camera my dad installed last year. There was footage from that night. At 1:07 a.m., a figure stood just outside the edge of the frame. Not fully visible, just the side of a shoulder, standing still, facing the door, for 11 minutes. Then, at 1:18 a.m., the feed cut out. No notification, no alert, just a gap in recording. It resumed at 2:46 a.m., nothing in between. The timestamp matched almost exactly with when I'd woken up. I showed the footage to my dad when he got home Sunday evening. He called the security company. They said sometimes Wi-Fi interruptions cause temporary recording gaps. We changed passwords, rebooted the system, but that wasn't the part I can't explain. 2 days later, after my parents returned, I was in the kitchen alone again. Middle of the afternoon, bright sunlight through the windows. I walked past the staircase, and I noticed something on the third step. A faint scuff mark, like the sole of a shoe had twisted there. We don't wear shoes upstairs. My parents are strict about that. It wasn't there before. I know it wasn't. I haven't stayed alone in that house overnight since. What unsettles me most isn't the possibility that someone broke in. It's the calmness. Whoever turned that doorknob didn't panic when it was locked. They didn't bang on the door. They didn't rush. They walked away slowly, like they knew they could come back. Sometimes when I visit home now, I lie in my old bedroom and stare at that door. I still lock it. And every once in a while, very late at night, I think I hear the third stair creak, just once, like someone testing their weight. I didn't think twice about being alone that night. I'd done it hundreds of times before. My wife had taken our daughter to her sister's place 2 hours away, a last-minute overnight to help with a newborn. I stayed behind because of work in the morning. The house was quiet in the ordinary way. Dishwasher humming, the ticking clock above the stove, the soft wind pushing against the siding. A normal Tuesday in late November. Cold, dark early, nothing unusual. The house itself is nothing special. Built in the late 90s, 2 stories, vinyl siding, unfinished basement. Suburban enough that you can see your neighbor's porch lights through the trees, but still quiet at night. I locked the doors out of habit, made dinner, and sat on the couch with my laptop, half watching a game I didn't care about. Around 10, I heard a sound that made me pause. It was faint, like someone shifting their weight upstairs. I told myself it was the house settling. It always made noise when the temperature dropped. Still, I muted the TV and listened. Nothing. I felt slightly stupid for even stopping, so I turned the volume back up and kept watching. 10 minutes later, it happened again. This time clearer. A single step. Not a creak, but the soft thud of carpeted floor compressing. I called out, "Hello?" My voice sounded too loud in the empty house. No response. I walked to the base of the stairs and looked up. The hallway light upstairs was off, just darkness stretching back toward the bedrooms. I waited, listening. Nothing moved. No breathing, no footsteps. After a minute, I went back to the couch, annoyed with myself. I didn't sleep well. Sometime after midnight, I woke to the sound of the bedroom door opening. Not all the way, just a few inches. Enough to let the hallway light spill across the floor. I sat up, heart already racing. I knew, immediately, that something was wrong. The air felt different, heavier, like the moment before a storm. I stared at the door, expecting it to move again. It didn't. I whispered my wife's name before remembering she wasn't home. Silence. I stayed frozen for what felt like forever. Finally, I got out of bed and opened the door the rest of the way. The hallway was empty. Every door was closed, just as I'd left them. I checked the bathroom, the spare room, my daughter's room. Nothing disturbed. No open windows. No sign anyone had been there. I locked the bedroom door when I went back to bed, which I'd never done before. At 2:17 a.m., my phone buzzed on the nightstand, a notification from the home security app. Motion detected, living room. I stared at the screen, trying to convince myself it was a glitch. The system was sensitive. It picked up shadows sometimes. Still, my hands shook as I opened the camera feed. At first, I saw nothing. Just the couch, the darkened TV screen, the faint reflection of the window. Then something moved. Not crossing the room, just shifting. A shape near the edge of the frame, low to the ground like someone crouched behind the couch. The camera adjusted, trying to focus, and for a second I saw a face reflected in the TV. Not clearly. Just pale skin and eyes too wide, staring directly at the camera. I dropped the phone. The confrontation happened faster than I can explain without it sounding unreal. I grabbed the metal flashlight from my nightstand and opened the bedroom door. I don't know why I didn't run outside or call the police right then. Part of me needed to know if what I saw was real. The stairs creaked under my weight as I went down. Every instinct screamed at me to stop, but I didn't. I turned the corner into the living room and clicked the flashlight on. He was there, standing between the couch and the front door like he'd been waiting. A man, maybe late 20s, wearing dark clothes and no shoes. His hair was matted, his face dirty, but it was the eyes that locked me in place. Calm, almost curious. He said quietly, "I thought you were asleep." My voice barely worked. "Get out of my house." He smiled, not wide, not aggressive, just enough to show he wasn't surprised I was there. He took one step toward me, and I swung the flashlight without thinking, catching his shoulder. He staggered back, cursed, and bolted for the door. I followed him only long enough to slam it shut behind him and throw the deadbolt. I stood there shaking until the police arrived. They never found him. What they did find was the basement window, unlocked from the inside, and footprints in the dust leading to the stairs. I don't stay alone in that house anymore. Even when it's empty, even when it's quiet, I lock every door and keep the lights on. Sometimes, late at night, the security app still sends motion alerts. I never open the camera feed now. I already know what I might see. I used to love being home alone. Last October, my parents flew out to Arizona for a week to visit my aunt after her surgery. I just turned 22, freshly graduated, and working remotely while figuring out my next move. Staying behind to hold down the fort felt like a small badge of adulthood. The house was a familiar split level in a quiet neighborhood, creaky in places, but comfortable. I'd lived there since I was 8. The first night alone felt like a vacation. I ordered takeout, watched a movie too loud, and fell asleep on the couch without anyone telling me to turn off the lights. The house settled the way houses do. Soft ticks from cooling pipes, a dull thump as the heater kicked on. Nothing unusual. By the second day, the quiet felt different. It wasn't silence exactly. It was the absence of the usual background life. My dad clearing his throat in the mornings, my mom's soft footsteps in the kitchen, the hum of the TV in the den. Without those sounds, every small noise seemed sharper, closer. That afternoon, I was working at the dining table when I heard what sounded like a cupboard door gently closing upstairs. I froze mid-sentence, fingers hovering over my keyboard. We had old cabinets in the hallway bathroom that sometimes didn't latch right. I told myself it was probably the air shifting when the heat came on. The upstairs windows were older too. Sometimes pressure changes made them flex slightly in their frames. Still, I muted my laptop and listened. Nothing. I walked upstairs slowly, more annoyed at myself than scared. The bathroom door was open, light off. The cabinet doors were shut. I stood there for a moment, staring at them like they might move again, just to prove a point. I checked the other rooms. My parents' bedroom was neat and undisturbed. My old bedroom looked exactly how I'd left it. Unmade bed, laundry basket on the floor. I remember laughing under my breath. "Get it together," I muttered. The next few days settled into a rhythm. Work during the day, leftovers or something simple for dinner, TV at night. But small things kept happening. One evening, I was brushing my teeth when the light in the hallway flickered once. Just a quick dip. The bulb had been acting up before my parents left. I told myself I'd replace it in the morning. That night, I woke up around 2 a.m. for no clear reason. The house felt colder. Not temperature cold, quiet cold. I lay there listening. I could hear the refrigerator downstairs humming faintly through the vents. A car passed outside, and then I heard 3 soft knocks, not on a door, not sharp, more like someone gently tapping on wood. I sat upright. The sound seemed to come from somewhere inside the house, but I couldn't place it. My heart thudded in my ears as I strained to listen for it again. Nothing. I stayed awake for a long time after that, staring at the dark outline of my closet door. Eventually, exhaustion won. In the morning, I went looking for a logical explanation. I checked the windows for branches that might be brushing against siding. I walked the perimeter of the house. It had been a calm night. No wind. I almost texted my mom about it, but stopped myself. I didn't want to sound ridiculous. The real shift happened on the 5th night. I was downstairs on the couch, scrolling on my phone, when I heard footsteps above me. Clear, deliberate footsteps. Not the settling of beams. Not a creak. The sound of weight shifting across the upstairs hallway. My stomach dropped so suddenly it felt like missing a step on the stairs. I muted the TV. The footsteps stopped. I stayed perfectly still, listening so hard my jaw started to ache from clenching it. Then, slowly, I heard what sounded like someone exhaling. A long, soft breath. It came through the ceiling vent above me. I don't know how long I sat there, frozen. I could feel the blood pounding in my temples. I told myself there had to be a rational explanation. Sound travels strangely through vents. Maybe it was my own breathing echoing back at me. I stood up. Every instinct screamed at me not to go upstairs, but the alternative, staying there imagining something moving above me, felt worse. I grabbed the heavy metal flashlight from the kitchen drawer. It felt absurd, but holding it gave me something solid to focus on. The staircase creaked under my weight as I climbed. Halfway up, I paused. "Hello?" My voice sounded small. No answer. I reached the top step and scanned the hallway. Dark. Still. The air felt different up there. Stagnant somehow. I took one step into the hallway. That's when I heard it again. A soft dragging sound from inside my parents' bedroom. Not loud, just the faint scrape of something shifting across carpet. My hands went slick with sweat around the flashlight. "Is someone there?" I said, louder this time. Silence. The bedroom door was half closed. I could see a sliver of darkness inside. I don't remember deciding to move, but suddenly I was crossing the hallway, each step heavy and deliberate. My breathing sounded too loud in my own ears. I pushed the door open quickly and flicked on the light. The room was empty. The bed was made, the curtains still, the closet doors closed. I stepped inside slowly, checking behind the door, then the closet. Nothing. But as I turned to leave, my eyes landed on something that made my chest tighten. The large mirror on my mom's dresser had been angled slightly toward the door. That wasn't how it usually sat. My mom kept it flat against the wall. It was subtle, just enough that if someone stood in the doorway, their reflection would be visible from inside the room. I stared at my own pale reflection in it. A memory surfaced. Earlier that day, when I'd come upstairs to grab a sweater, I'd had the distinct feeling of being observed. I'd even glanced toward that mirror, but hadn't registered why it felt off. My hands started trembling. I told myself I could have bumped it. Maybe it had always been like that, and I'd never noticed. But deep down, something felt wrong in a way I couldn't explain logically. I didn't sleep upstairs that night. I stayed on the couch with every light on. The next morning, I called my dad under the excuse of asking about the heater. "Everything okay?" he asked. I hesitated. "Yeah, just the house is noisier than I remember." He chuckled. "Old houses talk." I didn't tell him the rest. The final night before they came home, I decided I was done being scared of shadows. I went upstairs determined to sleep in my own bed. Around 3 a.m., I woke to the sensation that someone had just walked past my door. I heard the unmistakable sound of a footstep in the hallway. Then another, stopping directly outside my room. I held my breath. The handle didn't turn. No knocking, just presence. A pressure in the air like someone standing inches from the other side. Tears pricked my eyes, not from terror exactly, but from the overwhelming certainty that I was not imagining it. After what felt like minutes, the weight of that presence shifted. The footsteps moved away. I didn't move until dawn. When my parents came home the next afternoon, the house immediately felt different, lighter, normal again. The sounds returned to their usual background rhythm. I never told them everything, but sometimes when I visit now and stay the night, I wake up around 3 a.m. and I listen. The house doesn't make those sounds anymore, which somehow unsettles me more.